760 Boko Haram suspects arrested by soldiers during a crackdown on insurgents in northeast Nigeria have been handed over to the Borno State government for rehabilitation and reintegration. The suspects have all been cleared by the Joint Intelligence Center of Operation Lafia Dole. The director of the Borno State Rehabilitation Center, Mrs. Laddie Clark, has however given the assurance that all requisite steps will be taken to expedite the rehabilitation and reintegration of the suspects into the larger society. In January, the Army released 1,250 cleared Boko Haram suspects for rehabilitation, while in April, 593 of them were also released to the Borno State government for psychosocial rehabilitation before they were reunited with their families. Now let's get some more perspective on this latest development in the fight against terrorism in Nigeria's northeast, where the Army today announced the handing over of those suspects to the Borno State government for rehabilitation. To take a look at this, I'm now being joined by security expert Dr. Ona Ekomo, who is in Phoenix, Arizona in the United States. Good evening, Dr. Ekomo.
Good evening, Laddie.
Now, this issue of the difference between suspects who are to be integrated and rehabilitated and those who are to be prosecuted, what do you make of it?
Well, in a conflict of this nature, it is this is a guerrilla warfare. That's what we just had. And you would have people who are the fringes of the insurgency. You will have the people who are in the what we may call warm zone. Fringes, we call that cold zone. Those who are blowing hot and cold, we call them warm zone. And then the core fighters are in the hot zone. Now, what usually happens, the core fighters are usually killed in battle, that is killed in action, KIA, or they are captured and prosecuted. Now, people from the warm zone, that's the, the not so committed fighters, not so committed ideologues, those ones are also given variable treatment, like some may be prosecuted, and while others may be given this disarmament, de-radicalization, and reintegration approach out of it. Now, the people in the cold zone, that's just the sympathizers, usually they are turned around very quickly. The trick here, Laddie, is how do we know who is really who's going to be recidivist in this regard, because you don't know who. I mean, the mind is a very important thing, and you can't really tell the quality of a man's mind. And so my concern, I mean, is okay to release people if they've been determined not to be a threat to the Nigerian state. But my problem is, one, how is that determination made? It should be transparent. Now, secondly, we have a situation where every time we make these releases, there is a spike in BH attacks. Of course, you don't need a Babalawo to tell you that there is a correlation between both. Exactly.
Now, obviously, you've indicated that there is cause to be worried about the return to society, especially because we do not know what the process that has led to them being cleared is. But beyond that, if we take it for granted, or if we assume that the process has been effective, what do you want to see? Should there be some kind of monitoring of them after they have been reintegrated and rehabilitated and returned to society?
The first thing, Laddie, is to look at the evidence. The, let's say, 1,800 that have been released so far. What has been the performance? Are we keeping tabs on those people? Now, I don't know whether Borno State government is keeping tabs on them, but I know most of them have been left to go to join members of their families. Now, how many of these have returned to the battlefield? You know, these are questions that beg answers. Now, the problem I have here, though, is that there's a rush to release these people. And I think probably is because, the government doesn't have a good program, a very sound program for perhaps keeping these people in a long, on the long haul. And now there is also a problem. They are being released by the Joint Intelligence Council. Now, this is not an intelligence matter. Intelligence is before the action. After the action, these people are supposed to have been investigated. We need to get correct, solid investigation in place so that we determine that these guys are no longer a threat to society. It's not an intelligence, because the intelligence was useful in getting them in the first place, and perhaps the Nigerian army, because right now we are fighting a fourth-generation war. Fourth-generation warfare sustains itself on its tactics and its operations. Now, the tactic is they can attack you anywhere, and any number of them can form an army. We still think in terms of conventional warfare that these guys cannot mass themselves into a regular army and come and attack us. But that's wrong, because somebody who just goes to a motor park and detonates an IED has made a very important statement.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ekomo, for joining us all the way from Phoenix in Arizona on the News at 10 tonight. From there, we move on to Abuja, where Markwe Ogun has some of the other stories of tonight. Hi, Markwe.
Thank you, and hello, Ladi. Well, 3 suspects have been arrested in connection with the murder of a senior lecturer in the University of Benin, Professor Paul Otasowe. The police public relations officer, Edo State Police Command, told Channels Television that the suspects are helping the police in their investigation of the matter. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC in the state, have begun to trade words over the security situation in Edo State.
In recent weeks, residents of Benin City, the Edo State capital, have been subjected to news of heinous crimes being committed. The manager of the Ogbazu and Nature Park, Dr. Andy Hanire, and a famous local musician, Usayomori Joseph, are on the list of high-profile personalities kidnapped. The latest, a few days back, a senior lecturer in the University of Benin, Professor Paul Otasowe, was shot dead at his Ekenwa Road residence. The Edo State Police Command calls for calm among residents as the force tries to deal with the situation.
A distress call was received from Lagbadaro Street off Siloko Road that there was sporadic shooting in the neighborhood. So our men moved in there. Before they got there, the said professor had been shot dead by some hoodlums. But in the course of trying to unravel the cause of the incident, 3 suspects were arrested. Then the Nissan Primera car that was used to trail the victim to his house was also recovered by the police. I'm assuring the good people of Edo State that very shortly the 2 victims have been rescued by the police. The commissioner has directed on tactical teams to ensure that the 2 prominent indigenes of the state are rescued unhurt.
The major opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, fought the state authorities over the recent surge in crime rate.
Until this moment, nothing has been heard from the kidnapped victims. And unfortunately, the state government, we are not seeing what they're doing about this. They are in charge of security, with the governor in charge of security. They should be able to call the police, DSS, and all security agencies to come together to work as one to try to stop and reduce this menace.
Reacting to the allegations, the chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC Edo State, Ansemo Jeswa, absolves the state government of any wrongdoing.
That is the reason why we are looking at the possibility of getting our citizens to participate fully in this security arrangement by provision of information and intelligence to the security agencies. These things take a little time, but this effort is on. You don't expect the governor to be publishing effort is making on security and also informing the criminals as to what he's doing.
The Edo State Police Command assures residents of its competency to combat crime in spite of the recent security challenges.
While staying in the South-South, regional integration is still a priority for the governors of Bayelsa and Rivers State, and they're willing to build on the closeness of the 2 states to foster unity in that region of the country. The governor spoke to journalists after a 3-hour closed-door meeting in Yenagoa, the Bayelsa state capital.
Touching on the need for closer interaction between our 2 states and generally within our region. And we have all agreed to intensify these consultations, to work together in the interest of our people, in the interest of the 2 states, in the interest of the Niger Delta region. And as you all know, we are both performing governors of the great People's Democratic Party. And so we are happy to host him, my brother. I want to thank you for finding time to visit us, to encourage us. And we have started a process of consultation and interaction which we intend moving forward to strengthen and deepen in the interests of the people of our two states, who are, for all purposes, the same, one and the same.
For me, as a Borno governor from Rivers State, which of course you know, BASA was created out of Rivers State, we are going to partner together, we are going to work together, share ideas together, economically, politically, otherwise, we are going to work together. And that's with the spirit. And this is going to take further, like you said, about the South Governors Forum. We're working out a lot of modalities to keep the region united as it has always been.
Success of an average Nigerian student in the new information-based and technology-driven global society will depend on his or her interest to develop capabilities in science-related subjects and skills. This was the thrust of deliberations at the 2017 Agbami Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics Symposium held at the Lagos Business School in Lagos.
Students and teachers from different schools in Lagos State, education service providers and policymakers who are interested in the development of science, technology, engineering and mathematics STEM are all in attendance at the 2017 Agbami Symposium. It's an annual dialogue that stimulates deliberations around science and technology, encouraging and promoting excellence in STEM teaching and learning among the younger generation. This is what Agbami Co-Ventures has been doing for years.
The Agbami parties began investing in education in 2008. We have invested over 8.4 billion naira on the Agbami medical and engineering scholarships.
The panel of discussion focuses on STEM education reforms in Nigeria and how better it can be promoted.
We've seen improvement in performance of students, and of the 16,000 since 2009 when we started this program, we've had about 456 of them graduate with first class from across the country, and that's quite tremendous in terms of achievements across the country.
Till today, even the next generation, not even our own generation, are still dictating to their children what they should be doing. And I said to parents, we can no longer do that.
China Civil is building our airport in Nigeria because in our schools, science stands separate, technology stands separate, engineering stands separate, and maths stands separate.
The keynote speaker, a professor of science education, suggests improved learning approaches in STEM education and ways to integrate them into the education sector.
If we want children to be well-versed in problem solving, then the objective of STEM education is to learn, integrate, and apply rigorous STEM content.
To encourage STEM education, students who excelled in the 2017 Agbami STEM quiz competition, as well as teachers and students who have carried out various science projects, receive awards.